This is Long Way to the Top, and I'm your host, Shayne Brian. When you talk about rock history, you usually talk about bands, but every now and then the players behind those bands step forward, and when they do, something pretty special happens. Today's guests aren't just part of rock history, they are rock history. We're talking about a brand new supergroup. It's been around for a little while now, Blue Water Giants, featuring musicians who've helped shape the sound of some of the biggest names in music. On keys, Josh Phillips, the Hammond powerhouse from Procol Harum. Neil Taylor on guitar, who's playing You've Heard with Tears for Fears and Robbie Williams. And behind the kit, the engine room of Simple Minds and now Blue Water Giants, Mel Gaynor. They've played with legends like Eric Clapton, Tina Turner, Rod Stewart and The Who, and now they're bringing that lifetime of experience into something brand new, not a tribute band. This is the sound of people who were there creating something fresh. Let's find out what happens when decades of musical DNA collide into one room. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon.
Well, very nice.
Good afternoon.
Very nice introduction.
Thank you. Let's hope we all live up to that now, hey?
Yes. It's inflated my ego no end.
Which is something would never happen in the music industry, right?
Mine's been
exactly, yeah.
Now, let's just start with the very first question. How did Blue Water Giants get started?
Would you want me to answer that? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You got 4 hours?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, keep. I was going
It's
to
a
say
podcast.
keep it to an hour.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. Very quickly, Shayne, you kind of know this a little bit because I think I mentioned it on our last conversation a couple of years ago. I moved down to the south coast here on the water and joined a sailing, a yacht club, because that's kind of dear to my heart, as you know, a bit of water. And the Commodore came up to me and asked me, he said, oh, you're Josh Phillips from Procol Harum, aren't you? I said, yeah, how do you know that? He said, oh, there's various birdies around here. I said, okay, yeah, how can I help you? He said, well, we've got a regatta coming up, and I wonder if there's any chance you could put a little band together. And I said, maybe, but when you say a little band, it's well, you know. I said, look, I know everybody, but they're not going to come and play in a yacht club unless we do this properly.
Yes.
Fast forward, we did one gig with John Ilsey from Dire Straits on bass, a couple of other friends of mine. John was a busy guy doing his own thing, and he's kind of looking into not doing so much these days. Yes. So Rhino got involved. Rhino's involved a bit, not all the time at the moment with us. We had a guitar player that wasn't quite right for where we were going. And then we had various drummers, various singers, blah, 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 blah. We got an opportunity to play a couple of shows there, and it actually turned into something more than just a laugh. It turned into something, hang on a minute, this is quite good. We started off with a silly name called the Lost Fenders, which sounds rather Spinal Tap, doesn't it? When you think about it.
It does.
There's a you know, and then we were called the Real Lost Fenders. No, I'm making that bit up. And then various other incarnations of that name. And then I struck on a chord. I thought, well, hang on a minute, we're all giants of rock, if you like. And Blue Water, of course, is a term that we use for sailing in beautiful deep. Well, you'd know more about it down in Tasmania than us. We should be brown shit water where we live. But it is blue water within reason.
Yes.
So I came up with the name Blue Water Giants, and there was a different piano player, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Neil and I decided to start writing some music together because Neil Taylor came to the band a couple of years ago. Legendary Neil from, as you said, Robbie Williams and Tears for Fears. And of course, that wonderful guitar solo and Everybody Wants to Rule the World is played by that man there.
Wow.
Yeah, and loads of other stuff as well.
Yeah.
So when we first struck that up live, I was quite surprised. I thought, God, that sounds like the guy that played on the record. Oh, it is the guy that played on the record. That's why that's good.
Yeah.
And then things turned around, and we had Mark from Big Country involved for a little while. We played the Isle of Wight Festival last year, which was good. Mark's doing his own thing. So I thought, oh, here we go again. We've got to find somebody else.
Got to find another drummer, just like Spinal Tap, really, wasn't it?
Yeah. And or bizarre gardening accidents or something. And I thought, well, we've got to get somebody that doesn't have a lawnmower. So a couple of radio interview people I know over here, one of them had just done an interview with Mel Gaynor.
Yes.
And I thought, well, I know of Mel, obviously. I think we met about in Victorian times, I think.
Yeah.
And
About
He,
35,
Sorry?
how many years was it?
about 35 years ago.
35,
About 35
years
years
ago.
ago, yeah, which wasn't Victorian, but it felt like that to me. And so I said to Neil, look, I'm going to give him a buzz. Mel said, yeah, sounds interesting. I said, Neil and I have written almost an album's worth of original material, and I think
Yeah.
it's kind of cool, but it needs some drums on it, real drums. So this was the birth of the real Blue Water Giants original, is the way I'm going. We're not called the Blue Water Giants original,
Yes.
but there's two things, as you know. There's kind of this corporate stuff where we play all our hits from our past, which is great. We've got a set list of wonderful
Thousands of songs.
thousands of songs,
yeah.
but we have some new stuff, and I think that's probably bringing you right up to date.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad you mentioned the fact that someone actually said, "Oh, that sounds like the guy that plays the guitar on that song from Tears for Fears." How do you stop yourself in a super group like what you've put together? How do you stop yourself from, I guess, going back to what you know, what you're familiar with? Neil,
your turn.
Well, I really, I mean, I'm just continuing what I'm familiar with, to be honest.
Yeah.
I've always wanted. I've always been creative, and I've always wanted to be in a band. I was in a band when I was 17, 18, and then I went off to like doing session work.
Yeah.
But this is like an extension of when I was 17, really.
Yes.
It's being creative, and we're writing the songs that we want to write.
Yeah.
And I'm completely familiar with this. But I don't like going out of the box. I just like doing things I'm familiar with, to be honest.
And so you have a set style
so
that you work with.
So we won't be playing jazz or blues.
No.
Well, oh, bollocks.
No.
Oh, never mind. That was the next record.
No. So that's a good answer. Mel, what did you out of interest? Well, actually, Shayne should be asking.
But because Mel, your sound is such a stadium arena sort of sound, right? With Simple Minds, it's got that sort of guts to it. Do you find yourself wanting to break out with Blue Water Giants?
Well, you see, I mean, I've been a part of musical history with different artists anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with kind of developing different styles, different techniques for different bands.
Yeah.
Because I've been in so many, and but as far as the Simple Minds situation, obviously for over the last 35, 37 years, thank you. It has been kind of iconic, but Simple Minds didn't start out as a stadium band anyway.
No.
They started out as a new wave band, and I kind of brought in that funky rock stadium element in. So it was a kind of weird transformation, but it feels comfortable with me. I think any genre with me feels comfortable because I've crossed so many barriers. And I love playing jazz, I love playing rock, I love playing funk, I love playing blues.
Yeah.
And I love playing with these guys because these guys are so experienced or so professional and as to what they do. And as coming together as a band, it was a great band.
So when you're talking about coming together as a band, you write a song and you all sort of go, hang on a second, I know a drum beat that could go towards that, or I know a guitar lick that could go towards that. Is it that sort of organic, or is it like, well, we've written a song?
I'd say pretty much. I mean, it's organic to that stage. We're still in our early stages, let's say, but it's when we recorded these songs in the studio, it was great to have everybody's input in there, and it sounds like that as well. So it sounds
do you mind if I step in there?
Jump in
for a second, and Mel. Of course, Neil and I had put together, by the stage that Mel got involved, 6 or 7 songs, but Neil had admirably programmed drum stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Always with a real drummer in mind. So certainly I think Mel would agree with this, that when we went into the studio and the 74th microphone that got put on the drum kit at that point. I've never seen so many bloody microphones.
We don't need another mic.
Yeah, I thought we were just going to do it with a Boots cassette player, but mic'd up beautifully in this stunning studio in Winchester, and it seemed absolutely the right thing to do to not tell Mel anything to play other than be Mel Gaynor.
Yes. Yes.
And I think that's important, that everybody on this record, which is mainly Mel, Neil, and I so far.
Yes.
We are being what we are. I mean, I'm playing very much my Hammond style stuff. Obviously, as we're writing it as well, that's self-evident. It's going to come out that way. But I'm not really into synthesizers really, and programming and keyboards, that sort of stuff. I like a Rhodes and a CP80 and a Hammond organ, and I've got this synth here, a thing called a Yamaha Montage, which is a serious bit of kit. But
yeah,
I don't tend to play many synthesizer sounds. It's very organic.
Yeah.
And I think Neil is very like that. It's very organic. His guitar sound, wonderful that it is, it's organic. It's crunchy, it's clean, and the great thing about Neil is that when I say to him, well, it's like a C major 7 with an E bass, he'll go, what, like that?
No.
Yeah. Oh, you mean you know what a chord is? Wow. I was
Mel and I are sitting here going, right, okay. What can I hit?
I still don't know what that chord is.
It doesn't matter. He doesn't know what it is.
But going back to Mel, Mel put the icing on the cake to the songs, really.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, he was completely right for what we're doing, completely and utterly. I mean, it's given it a harder rock edge, a fuller sound.
Yeah,
and it's with his character, and I mean, that's really, really helped.
Yeah,
for us.
Well, the songs turned out incredible. I mean, the songs are just, the actual compositions, melody production, the sound is just incredible.
Now, it isn't officially released yet, but I've had a sneak peek, and you are absolutely correct. It is fantastic.
Yeah, we've been told it's like what was it, Josh? A heavy AC/DC.
Yeah, so the Aussies were like that.
Can you get heavier than AC/DC? Really?
Yeah, we've done it.
Apparently,
with all of them. But funny enough, the other thing, of course, we've been very blessed with. Neil's got great ears, and when he and I write together, I tend to say, right, Neil, you take it away now and nail it, make it in, not nail it, but nail it, turn it into the way you're, because he's very, very good at that.
Neilification.
Bit of neilification, yeah. And we've been very lucky that the engineer that's been engineering the drums and mixing the tracks is a guy called Stewart Bruce.
Yeah.
And Stewart's a legendary guy. He's been around for years. One of the first things that he was probably second assistant engineer on, or the engineer or whatever, was 90125, Yes, Owner of a Lonely Heart.
Yeah, right. So great album.
He's done a lot of Nick Kershaw stuff. He did Band-Aid, Do They Know It's Christmas? A whole load of stuff. Done years with Trevor Horn. Yeah. All those things. So when Stewart gets behind a desk, it's pinpoint accuracy.
Yeah.
He'll zone in on stuff, zone in on a hi-hat mic for 10 minutes. No wonder we didn't get anything done.
Yeah. but let's talk about the studio for a minute, because I've seen photos of this studio, and I mean, this is like Close Encounters of the Third Kind type of, lights and rooms everywhere and so many gadgets. Do you think, was it important for you for the first album to go like straight to a studio like that?
I think it was the sound of the room more than anything.
Yeah.
It was perfect for our style of music. It made the drums really, really big, and that's what we wanted, a nice kind of ambient sound.
Yeah, so far
that was my main thing anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 100%. I think so far, everything you've heard so far, Shayne, has been recorded in my studio here, in Neil's studio, and then because of the nature of Mel's drum kit, which is louder than a 747 crashing through your bedroom, it needed to be in a contained environment. like a sort of caged animal, but with the doors open, if you like, because there's no way you'd be able to program what Mel can do, and that sound, as Neil's just said, it's all about. I mean, when I say 71 microphones, Stewart Bruce had cupboards open with a microphone in it, and a door over there with a microphone in it, and he had all these.
He did, yeah.
And then he poured it all together, and it was like, wow, that's a monster drum sound. I think Mel would agree with that. Would you, Mel?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's really harking back to the kind of legendary studios like Air, Townhouse.
Yeah.
And it was a remarkable sound. It even shocked me. I mean, I'm used to drum sounds, but that sound was remarkable. And he done such
wasn't it? Yeah.
And the reason I brought this up was for exactly that. I mean, there are certain producers and certain studios that doesn't matter what the artist is, that you are going to get a sound that is becoming of that particular producer.
Yeah.
Well, it's mainly the engineer, not so much the producer. I think it's the engineers that fine tune things. I mean, I have the pleasure to work with Bob Clearmountain.
Yeah,
and
great.
It was he had a great ethic on what a drum sound should be, and it was just in fact it caused a lot of arguments because the drum sound that we got, for instance, on Once Upon a Time, everybody was like, "Can you turn the drums down a bit?" And Bob said, "No, the drums have to be up there."
Yes.
So everybody was like, "He's your favorite thing, yeah."
Yeah.
And it was fortunate for me, I had a great drum sound, but as far as the audio bar is, it was a new studio.
Yeah.
But it's produced a great sound. So I think there'd be more projects coming in there.
So
it helped that. Sorry,
you go.
Stewart Bruce. It helped that Stewart Bruce, the engineer, had worked there already. He knew the room.
Yeah, he put it together.
Yeah, he put it together.
Certainly involved in the design and the development of it.
Yeah.
And it's probably, I think, given time, it will probably turn into one of the best studios in Europe.
Yeah.
Because it's so extraordinarily well equipped, and it's got so much space. That's what's so great about it. You could put a rock band in there with a full orchestra and choir.
That's right.
It's got that.
It's incredible. It. I guess what I'm really sort of looking at is that in a way, Stewart is really very much a part of Blue Water Giants and that initial sound. And I guess it's like I did an interview with Youth, and I said to him, there's a story that we all know about in Australia. I don't know whether you know about it there, but he was in the studio with Crowded House and he couldn't get them to work together. And he said, take off all your clothes. And so he had them all playing naked in the studio for real. And it was part of his process of getting them to trust one another and to bond with one another. And it really showed on the album that they put out Together Alone, because it just had that connection. And I guess the producer and the engineer and the studio really is vital in that whole, that they really are a member of the band.
Yeah. Well, my wife's always telling me to put my clothes on.
I pleaded with Neil to put his clothes on because he's usually got them on, which is kind of odd.
Especially playing the guitar. That's really difficult. Anyway.
Yeah. Going back to what you're saying there, Shayne, I've got a feeling that Stewart could become, with this band, even though none of us are kids anymore, but he could almost become like the George Martin of the band, because love it or not, the Beatles sound was very much George Martin.
Yeah.
Now we went to Sean with a sound, absolutely, and as I said, Neil's been more part of that than I have. But I think going back to your very first subject or question or whatever was when you said about is it difficult not to go or to stick what I can't remember what you said exactly. You said about our past history as far as like the guitar player.
Is it difficult to not go back to what you know from the previous bands when you're putting this sound together?
Well, I think in answer to that, what is happening is that we're not having to go back to the sounds.
Yeah.
We are those sounds. So I think that what's happened is that the chemical elements have come together. So Neil's guitar playing, which is very evident on, if you listen to his style and his stuff, Mel's stuff, me probably more so from the last 25 years of Procol, because I'm a Hammond player really. And we've managed to pull all of those elements together and created, I think, really a timeless sound.
Yes.
Yeah. It's we're not trying to be the latest Muse or the latest. Occasionally, I might say to Neil, "Well, that sounds a bit like something else," but it doesn't really. If you start, I mean, "Dangerously in Love," I think is a great example where Neil came up with this kind of rap thing.
Yes.
And initially, I thought, "What the fuck's that all about?" And I loved it very quickly. I got really into it, and I thought, "Oh, that's different." So it's kind of, I think, the way I would describe our music personally would be it's rock with a twist.
Rock with a twist. Yeah. Because you've got your 70s Hammond, and you've got your 80s guitar, and then you've got your stadium drums. I mean, that's really bringing it all together. It's hard to describe that sound, isn't it?
Yeah, well, maybe you need to invent a new term.
Why not?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've always kind of liked really, really in your face, heavy kind of things that really kind of just, wow, that sounds great. And for me, this band has kind of achieved that.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the rock bands you hear really, in some ways, aren't as heavy as us.
Yeah.
It's true. Very true.
Yeah.
And I get the feeling that you guys, you're writing with legacy in mind already, and there's not a lot of bands that get together thinking about, well, this is going to be like a monumental band, and it's going to be the band that we finish our careers with, or kick off our careers with. A lot of bands can't see beyond that first album, but I get the feeling that you're writing with legacy in mind.
I think that's a nice way to do
it. I think we are, and also, I mean, lyrically, they most of the songs have a twist, which and it's fun. And the funny thing is, for me, it's kind of talking about stuff that our age group will understand.
Yes.
It's aimed at our age group as well.
Yes.
Because a lot of it will put a smile on their face.
Yeah, I was going to say, Neil, in addition to that, I think it's a bit like that old adage, you can't write a hit song. Nobody can write a hit song. They become hits by default. But certainly with Procol, you could argue that we were an old band, sadly Gary's no longer with us, but a lot of the original fans will be in their late 70s.
Yeah.
But they bring their kids along, their grandkids and their great-grandkids. And what was extraordinary for me, certainly in Europe, because Europe seems to be really open to any kind of, you could have a Metallica fan and a Michael Jackson fan in the same pub having a pint together, or sharing a jukebox list or whatever, putting 50 cents in and going, well, your turn, I'll put Michael Jackson on, you put Metallica on, or the other way around. And I think that became apparent, certainly with Procol, was that because the songs are accessible to anybody, they're musical, they have a tremendous flavor, a lot of ingredients. So it's going to appeal to all sorts of people. There's a bit of sweetness in there, there's a bit of bitterness, there's a bit of texture, there's a bit of heat, whatever it might be. And I think that
there's definitely Procol in some of the songs.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah, there is. But what we've done, Neil, and Mel as well, obviously, is that I think there is a bit of spice, a bit of sweet, there's a bit of savoury, there's a bit of sour, there's a bit of alcohol, there's loads of alcohol in it. A lot of the songs seem to mention alcohol for some reason. I don't know whether that's Neil Taylor's fault.
Well, it's the trials and tribulations of people our age. It's all about that, isn't it? Really, about
it is that.
That's it. If it's a crutch, we're going to use it. Yeah. I guess you're bringing that up, which is really interesting about Procol Harum. Does Blue Water Giants allow you to do musically what you maybe couldn't do in Procol Harum? Is that part of the attraction?
That's an interesting question. That's a very interesting question. Because I wrote the last album with Gary, the last Procol Harum album, and it was quite a diversion at times from traditional Procol. We got a bit proggy here and there, but not really. I tended to steer it a bit more commercial. One thing that it has allowed me to do personally, which is a bit of a shock to me, but it's, again, this was Neil's doing, is that with Dangerously in Love, I kind of had the beginnings of the melody or something and started singing some ideas, sang them to Neil and sent them to him via Dropbox or whatever it was. And then he fiddled around with it. And I said, so are you going to sing? He said, no, I think you should sing it.
Yeah.
I said, I only sing backing vocals. He said, well, you're doing a good job on this. So I would never have sung a lead vocal in Procol Harum because Gary was the singer. Yes. So it's enabling that, certainly. And I guess with Neil, with Tears for Fears or Robbie, he would never, although Neil has sung solo anyway.
Yes.
Even Mel is doing stuff, singing some things here and there. Not at the moment, the Giants, but it will go that way, I'm sure.
Now guys,
we have plans for Mel.
now, guys, you've got to be really careful though, giving Josh the singing abilities. I mean, you saw what happened with Powerhouse, right? And Robert Palmer. I mean, they all accused him of taking the Powerhouse sound and moving on with his own solo career. Could be the start of a new one, Josh.
Irony. Mel, explain Robert Palmer's story.
Well, I mean, the thing, because I toured with Robert for 2 years continuously. And he was like, because I used to visit his house as well on numerous occasions. And he said, why haven't you got a mic for the drummer there? Why are you not singing, Mel? I said, well, that's your job. He said, no, give that guy a mic. And because I heard that he can sing, and I've heard him sing, and give him a mic because he's got an incredible voice. And I was like, okay. So that was the start of my singing career, which is 1999.
Wow.
And I happened to, at that, just after the tour, I said, listen, I want to do a version of Addicted to Love with you. And he said, okay. And I was hoping, or I was praying that he would do it, but I never thought he would do it. So we've got a single.
That's amazing.
We got a single that is still yet to be released, still yet to come out, which is featuring Robert Palmer.
How do you navigate that though? I mean,
brilliant.
I mean, the guy's no longer with us.
Well, basically, we recorded him before he died.
Are you allowed to release it? I mean,
yeah, something like got the full backing from his estate.
Yeah, wow.
Brilliant.
I mean, it came out well. I played it to the guys, and the guys loved it. And
I'm pleased, Mel, you didn't record it after he died.
Yeah, would have been awkward.
But I mean, that was the start of my singing career, and I really never sung with Simple Minds. I don't know. I mean, I sang a few backing vocals with them, and I sang on Once Upon a Time backing vocals. But I never came out as a lead singer and sung.
Yeah.
I never done the Phil Collins, let's say.
Yeah.
But this band, I've got the opportunity to sing as well.
Well, you were just waiting for Jim Kerr to leave, right? So you could do a Phil Collins on him and say, right, I'll step in now.
Well, yeah. I mean,
yeah. That's good. I mean, talking about your drumming, and you've got a lot of power in the drums, and you were talking about power and miking up all of your drums in the recording. How do you then bring that back and put a bit of restraint in a supergroup sort of setting? Is it hard?
I don't think you restrain yourself. I think you can be free, and you can be who you are. And that's one great thing about this band, because everybody's shining in different ways, and the ways, like we said, that they're comfortable with.
Yeah.
One thing about groups in general, I find that even with my former band, Simple Minds, they're trying to catch up with times, trying to catch up with trends.
Yeah. And
they're missing the opportunity of actually playing what they should play. Yeah. It's the same with I guess U2's just come out with a new album now, and it sounds like U2 of old.
Yeah.
You know, and, I don't think you should lose that stamp, because a lot of bands do. And a lot of bands go off in different directions, and they've lost their original creativity. And I think that's an important part.
And I think U2 did that. I mean, with their Pop Mart album. I mean, that was just, why are you even going down that track? And I understand that they wanted to try it, but in Simple Minds, they need to get back to the days of New Gold Dream, and
absolutely.
Wow.
And this band, this band is everything that we want to do. It's not, they're not pretending to do anything. It's everything which is original to us, and that's why we're gonna make it.
So it's a favorite. It's all your favorite bits.
Yeah, it's everything. All the ingredients in this band are pointing towards success.
Yeah, and
success that bands of old used to have. Now we're gonna get that success.
How do you think it's going to translate? Sorry, you go.
I think there's between the three of us, there's probably a lot of pent up creativity.
Yeah,
because we've spent years playing for other people.
Yeah.
And personally, I always felt like an artist trapped in a session musician's body all my professional career. And now, I mean, I never thought at my age I'd be back in a band. And it feels like I'm in a band like when I was 17 again, and it's real fun.
Oh, I love that.
That's the key element. Fun. That's the key element.
Fun.
A lot of bands don't have fun anymore. Trust me.
So when you've done your studio, when you're going to take this onto the big stage, how do you think it's going to translate? Is it going to be really tight and rehearsed? Is it going to be a bit loose and unpredictable? I'm thinking the latter.
Well, actually, we've done a couple of shows of late, and we're doing another one in 3 weeks' time, and we're going to play 3 or 4 of our new original songs.
Yeah.
And we did play two originals at the last 2 shows, and they went down a storm.
Yeah, right.
We pretty much played them as we've recorded them.
Yeah.
The band will be a little bit more stripped down because it's really just drums, bass, keyboards, and guitar and vocal.
Yeah.
And of course, we didn't have 2 guitar players on the recordings. It's all Neil, but he's very cleverly worked out, well, that bit I'll play there, that bit I'll in the chorus, I'll play that part. So we have extended bits or extemporized, that is probably a better word.
Yeah.
I think from a live point of view, a couple of the tracks here and there, we might use the odd loop. Just, I don't mean a loop pedal, I'm talking about like it might be a percussion track or whatever. But all of the actual playing will be real.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always, I don't think Neil's going to get a double neck guitar yet. I think that would be a bit Spinal Tap or a bit less.
Yeah.
I have a lot of people say, Josh, how can you do that with 2 hands and play one keyboard there, one keyboard there? And I said, well, because it's no different than doing that, but just on 2 keyboards.
Yeah.
So I can do.
I think wearing the cape is a bit too far, though, Josh.
Listen, that was your idea. Yeah, well, I'm not going to put the cape on anymore. And you can get capo. But
now, I should also want to also ask too. There's a connection here, obviously, with Ian Grant, and you're part of a new project that is coming out. That Ian, who I should say, and if you've listened to any of the other podcasts that I've done with Josh himself. Ian actually has Parkinson's, and it's affected a lot of people in the music industry watching him go through this process, and coming up with the idea of a song and then an album, and now there's another album. The guy just doesn't stop, which is just outstanding. And you guys are involved in that next step for him.
Within reason, yes. What I don't want the band to become is a charity band, because I've done so many charity gigs where I've been a musical director. I was a musical director for Prostate Cancer UK, so I was the MD for Jeff Beck and The Who and Mick Hucknall and all these different people. It was a lot of responsibility.
Yes.
And I want the Blue Water Giants to be seen as a real band, not a bunch of guys that have been put together for a charity record or a session, which is exactly true. We've put this band together, but it just so happens that because of my relationship with Ian goes back to 1988 when I first started playing with Big Country.
Yes.
Ian didn't have Parkinson's then. But he's an incredibly driven and motivated person, and respected, and of course, respected and connected. So absolutely delighted that we're part of this as well. But I think it's important to stress that we aren't just a charity band. In the same way that one of the bands that I love from the late 60s, early 70s was Blood, Sweat and Tears. Yeah. And they were always considered like a session band put together. Well, they kind of were a band anyway, but they were a bit more of a session band put together. I mean, obviously Chicago became the real thing as far as horns and rock and roll.
Yes, but, and Toto as well, you know.
And Toto, they all came from that thing. But we haven't been put together for a charity record, unlike some of the stuff that we did for Kindred Spirit, where there's stuff with me and Tony Hadley and Michelle DeTroy and all these different people. This is a band, and we are also doing something for Cure Parkinson's, and delighted to be doing so. And Ian is an absolute legend in his own underpants.
I think however you got together, I think the ultimate, as we've discussed before, the ultimate thing is that you've got a legacy that you want to build with this band, and right from the get-go.
Yeah, I think so. And I think also, you guys probably agree with me here, I'm sure, with such at least three very serious bands, Procol, Simple Minds, Tears for Fears there in the mix, you can also probably rely on, say, 10% of our band's fans taking an interest in this as well.
Yeah.
Which I think is also very important, that we don't stray too far, a million miles from our roots. Because otherwise, if you were really into those three bands and we sounded like Bronski Beat, you'd probably lose all of your credibility overnight.
Yeah.
I think with including Ian is give us a sense of it's given us something to all do together.
Yeah.
And the creative process is very important, but we're all moving ahead together, and it's great being in a kind of a band with a good bunch of guys.
Yeah.
For me,
Love it.
And also that's what I was going to say. It's given us all a new sense of purpose as well, including Ian.
Sorry, Neil, I was about to say, Mel and I were talking about this the other day, is that, I was actually with Ian 8-9 years ago, whenever it was, and I said to Ian, and Ian won't mind me saying this because he's mentioned it in a few press things anyway, that one of my sisters is a Parkinson's specialist, and I spotted a couple of things with him. He was telling me that he had a couple of weird symptoms, and I said, get yourself checked out for Parkinson's, because that's and I was right. He did have it.
Yeah.
There's 47 symptoms of Parkinson's, and he's got a few of the symptoms.
Yeah.
One thing that has really touched me, and I think touched Ian as well, and hopefully his family, is that he, as Neil quite rightly just said, it's almost given us all a sense of purpose, and Ian a sense of purpose too. And one of the things that he's said in not so many words, no, actually in so many words, he said it's almost given him a lease of life, a new lease of life.
It has.
Yeah.
Because he's passionate about the music. He loves it. I've done a few things with Ian over the last 35 years, including the Casbah Club, which was the band with me and Simon Townsend and Bruce Foxton from the Jam, the Crazy World of Arthur Brown album that I wrote called The Vampire Suite, and then this. And I just sent it to Ian initially just because I thought he might like to listen to it. I had not an inkling that he'd come back freaking out about it and saying, I love it. I really love it. I want to get involved. So the fact that he wants to get involved is massive.
I think though that what happens with and I just finished watching the Ozzy Osbourne documentary, and watching because he had Parkinson's as well, and the moment that he stepped on stage or got involved in a project, you could see the change in him where it was suddenly he had this new lease on life, and I see the same thing with Ian. So
with Ian, yeah. I mean, at times it's difficult, to understand him verbally.
Yeah.
He still writes a great email, but I know Ian well enough to say to him, Ian, I can't quite hear you, or say that again, type thing.
Yes.
But at times, man, his symptoms have gone.
Yeah.
And he'll tell you probably on another time about some of the therapy he's been having.
Yes.
Well, but I hope that some of it is music.
I think it is. I think it absolutely
I think
is.
the therapy is music. The therapy is definitely music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the therapy is for everyone. Yeah.
Yes.
Now I want to just I've got a few quick fire questions I'm going to be asking. But firstly, the album, it comes out.
Neil,
yes.
Have we got dates?
Imagine later this year.
Yeah.
Late this year, because we've got a single coming out on the 20th of April.
29th.
Yep. 29th,
April.
yep. And your website where you can go to listen and to be ready for the single?
It seems that we're on that social media world, Facebook, rather than we did have a website, but it was out of date every other day. It was at least Facebook.
The main website is Blue Water Giants on Facebook.
Yeah,
that's the main website for the moment. I mean, we're not really down with the kids when it comes to social media, I must say, but we try our best.
Yeah, we're getting there. I think also the distribution company, Absolute. What are they called?
Yeah.
What was Absolute? Yeah, Absolute. Yeah, there's another name, Absolute something. Anyway, they've got a vast back catalogue and a vast current catalogue of acts. So I think we will be partly featured on their stuff as well. Right. So I think so much of this stuff, Shayne, these days is social media driven, isn't it?
It is, absolutely is. Yeah. Absolutely is. Now, I've got a few quick fire questions. I'll direct these at various members just to so we're not speaking over the top of each other.
Yeah.
Neil, first song you ever learned to play?
It was Jeepster by T-Rex.
Oh, that's a nice little cut there. You're a bit of a T-Rex fan?
Yeah. I love T-Rex. They were one of the reasons why I got into music.
Oh yeah, I love them.
And then Status Quo. Caroline came on the top of the pops, and that was like, what is this?
What's it like now working? And I mean, you obviously have met a lot of people in the music industry, but working with someone, like working with Status Quo
that
amazing.
That was in a band that were my favorite band of all time.
Yeah.
Well, he pulled me up a few times, Rhino, when I was doing a few things wrong,
Yeah.
So you don't play it like that.
Okay. All right. I'll listen to you.
But it was lovely to meet him because I hadn't met him before until, we started doing the Blue Water Giant. So it's great to know him as well.
Yes.
He's a great bass player.
Fantastic. Mel, one album you wish you'd played on?
God. What album? I'd say probably What's Going On, Marvin Gaye.
Oh, yes.
That guy always inspired me. And I obviously love his voice, but I love his arrangements. And that would have been an incredible album to play, I would have thought.
Even just standing in the background playing the tambourine on that one. I mean, whatever, exactly.
To be a part of that. The other album probably would be any Earth, Wind & Fire album as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That
or
was
Chicago.
Or Chicago. Wow. Yeah.
That's
Josh.
I was saying this.
Yes.
I was going to answer that question, but I'm not going to be asked that, am I?
No. You're going to be asked. You're going to be asked one artist that you wish you could have played with. And can I answer this one? I'm gonna say Stevie Wonder. Am I right?
Yeah,
No?
well, absolutely.
Only because of the Hammond
100.
organ, that's all. But
Yeah. Well, of course, if you think about the bands that are Hammond organ led, then I would never have played with them because they were Hammond organ bands.
Yeah.
Like
good
Emerson,
point.
Lake and Palmer or or even Procol. But you know about this because the first band I ever saw in my life was Procol Harum.
Yeah.
And I never knew that 21 years later I'd end up playing with them. That was a completely weird sideways curve. My favorite band of all time, as Mel knows, is Chicago. So I would love to have been the Hammond player in Chicago.
Nice.
With Robert Lamb playing piano and me playing Hammond. But funnily enough, I've got to know some of the guys in the band. I know Danny Seraphine, the drummer, and various people. But they had a massive influence on me as this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, so what's this one? Do you know this one, Shayne? Was a bit distorted.
Saturday in the Park.
That's first album. Neil, there's a lot of 11ths in there.
Oh God, really? I didn't get into music to learn maths.
Great answer. I love that. I didn't learn maths because I got into music. I didn't go to the math lessons. Yeah.
They say math. They say math these days, don't they? But
no, it's maths. Maths.
It used to be maths with an S on the end.
Yeah.
That's the American.
Anyway,
that's the American.
That's
the kids these days.
My maths teacher would have been right, Josh. What is 1 + 3 + 5 + 6? I'll say it's a C6. It's a C6.
Okay.
Now, just finally, if Blue Water Giants were a movie, what's the title?
Sure. Yeah. Can we all have a go?
Jaws.
Drunk again.
What was that?
Jaws, he said.
Drunk again.
Drunk again. Jaws. This is going to sound really po-faced, but it's not meant to be. Amadeus.
Amadeus. Oh, nice.
It's real music.
Yeah. What? Just in closing, what's the one thing that you want fans to take away from the music and seeing you guys in Blue Water Giants? What's the one thing that you really want them to walk away with?
I'd say the feel-good factor. The feel-good factor.
Feel-good factor. Yeah. Josh?
T-shirt and CD.
T-shirt and CD. Yes.
Let me answer that again. I think that's a great answer, Mel, a feel-good factor. I think they should go away feeling entertained and happy.
Yeah.
And a fan.
Neil?
I don't get. Wow, what an exciting, powerful show.
Yeah.
That's what I want to come up with.
Well, with you three, I've got to say it will be a powerful show. Collectively, you've got such an incredible history, and you're bringing all that history into the room when you're performing. And I can't wait to hear the album, and I look forward to seeing how the new single goes.
Well, we hope that your audience enjoyed as much as you have.
Oh, absolutely loved it. Gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us on the show, and best of British luck to you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's proud of you. I've got to go now on my Vespa.
Yeah.
There it is. Can you see that, Shayne?
Yes, I can see that. That's great. That is great. You've turned this.
Chair.
Yeah.
But it's a real front.
That's such a Spinal Tap thing, like to have created a chair out of a Vespa, and it's like, what else did you spend your money on, Josh? Thanks for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Long Way to the Top. Hit plus or follow to subscribe to the podcast, and head over to Facebook at the Long Way to the Top podcast and give us a like. Keep on rocking, and I'll catch you on the next episode of Long Way to the Top.